Paul, when we look at how America gets out of this pandemic, we heard President Biden talking about this very ambitious plan. He said initially they had set out to give out 1 million vaccines a day. Now that's going to be 2 million. And of course, the goal being by May 1st to get all Americans vaccinated, or actually all adult Americans to have a vaccine available by May 1st, whether they're in line or whatnot. But that is great if there's the confidence level there. Do enough Americans have confidence in these vaccines, or are we still seeing quite a bit of skepticism surrounding the safety of these vaccines?
I'm not able to speak for the American public in terms of the general sense. I do know that from polls I've seen, there is some skepticism, but I actually think that overall, the vaccine is maybe the one thing that can unify Americans. I actually think this is something that, if you go back to the Trump administration, and one thing that I will add, I really was impressed with this speech. So it was a very impressive speech. President Biden probably could have given maybe a little more credit to the Trump administration about its efforts to try to expedite the vaccine production, because that was the one aspect of the Trump administration's approach to COVID-19 that I think was consistent, was very much this focus on a vaccine development. And even President Trump himself has said to his followers, he said this at the CPAC address that he gave last week, where he said that you should go and get a vaccine. So even President Trump has said that. He himself has had that. Of course, former President Trump has had the vaccine. So I actually think the vaccine is something that, yes, there will be people who have skepticism, but unfortunately we know that that's the case with a lot of vaccines. There's the anti-vaccine crowd. But I actually think the vaccine is the one thing that a lot of Americans will be able to come together and say, sure, let's do it. If it's available, if it's easy, then why not? I'll be able to do this. I think that's the thing that most Americans want right now, is they don't want to have to wait in line. Say, for example, here in Chicago, you can go down to the United Center, which is the arena where like the Chicago Bulls play. You can wait there. They have a massive distribution center. It's very well run, but I think a lot of people would like to be able to just walk to the local Walgreens and get the shot, just like they would with the normal flu shot. So I think the easier that it is to obtain the shot, the more likely people are going to be to take it. And so I think that's really the key thing, is it's not the skepticism, it's ensuring that it's easy to access and that it's widely distributed.
And Paul, one of the aspects of this speech is we know that Biden has set a different tone with his administration in terms of what they're doing, particularly with the mask mandate. But at this stage, when you have red states and blue states, particularly Texas, which has essentially lifted that mask mandate, is it essentially too far gone at this point? Are states just going about handling their own business according to their own politics at this point?
Absolutely. And I would even go to say that that's been the case for most of this time, right? That has really been what's going on, is that states have been pursuing, if not their own policy, you did see early on last year, you saw states form alliances, cooperate. So for example, again, here in Chicago, you had Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Ohio, Michigan. They formed a Midwest pact, if you will. You had out west, you had in the Northeast, similar thing, to where they would coordinate their lifting of restrictions, their mask mandates, because of the idea being that, well, it's fine if, say, for example, the state of Illinois has restrictions, but if people are also living in northern Indiana, then it kind of defeats the purpose. And so you did see states cooperating, but by and large, that was both one of the major critiques of the Trump administration's approach, but in some respects, maybe even a reality that would have been faced even by a President Clinton had that kind of alternative reality played out, where Hillary Clinton may have been president, where you still would have seen a lot of states to kind of pursue their own policies, partially out of, and maybe not even partially, perhaps mostly out of this partisan pressure. It would be hard to imagine a lot of the southern states that are deeply Republican and would have been, and also kind of deeply skeptical of big government, if you will, strong imposition by the federal government. It would be hard to imagine them accepting kind of like government national-wide approach. They would have deferred more and would have preferred more of a state-by-state approach. So I think that's been the reality for the whole time. And you bringing up Texas is a good example where that is continuing. And I think that is going to continue. Now, the Biden administration has done a better job on the distribution side of ensuring that it's not just a state-by-state policy. I think that could have also been the case with the Trump administration, because the Trump administration had also put in orders for a large number of vaccines. So I think the distribution front, you're seeing a lot more effort to try to run this at the national level. But even then, there's variation state by state. Just the other day, I know someone who lives in Georgia and felt they needed to go over to Alabama in order to get the shot just because of how Alabama's handling their restrictions and handling the distribution of it. So you're still seeing the state by state approach. And I think that's been the way it's been, and that's the way it's going to continue.